great day, my good people, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. That way you never miss any of my uploads. I'm really excited to get into today's topic. So what we're going to be discussing is the social contagion, the one of the most growing populations in this country, and that is the LGBTQIA community. And I know that this is a touchy subject because there are people who I know, there are people in my family, and, close people to me who are part of that community. And so I think when we touch on these topics, it is important that we do maintain some level of decorum. But I think that where we have gotten to in society, it's kind of gotten to a place where that's almost, we almost can't do that anymore. It's almost to the point where we have to kind of attack these issues head on, and we have to be a little bit more direct, a little bit more blunt than what we, may like to be. But I think that is necessary in order to, kind of gain a little bit more of control over, just how much this community has taken over our society, and how much we have all almost been forced to bow and cater to this community. So so for today, I do want to just touch on it because something that has just really bothered me, and it really hurts my heart, really, is how we have accepted this new movement of allowing children to medically transition, to socially transition, how we are lying to children, telling them that they can become a different gender. And I think for me, I think that is where myself and a lot of people tend to just draw the line. I think when it comes to adults, we can't really control what other people do as an adult. If you want to do what you want to do, I may not personally agree with it, but I can't stop you from doing what doing what you want to do. And we can't stop adults from making decisions for themselves. However, when it comes to children, we do have to have some level of protection for them, and there has to be a level of our government may have to step in at times. Like, we have child abuse laws, we have child neglect laws, we have whole organizations and departments that dedicate themselves to protecting children. And so I think that this new movement, I think, may need something similar, because it's just getting completely out of control. We are allowing toddlers and even infants in some cases, just allowing these children to make these decisions that are going to affect them long term. Even if even if you're just allowing your child, who may be 6, 7, 8, 9, to just socially transition, what is that going to lead them into? It's going to lead them into, once they become of age where they're hitting puberty, they're going to say, oh, I want to get on puberty blockers, or I want to start taking cross hormones. And then before you know it, there are cases where there are children who are getting surgeries before they're even 18 years old. And it's just like, how are children not allowed to join the military? They can't drink, they can't buy a lottery ticket, they can't get a tattoo, they can't get a piercing, they can't do so many different things, because we have acknowledged as a society that they don't have that cognitive awareness to make those permanent decisions like that. The age of consent, is generally 17, 18 years old, but we are allowing these kids to make medical decisions for themselves. And at such young ages, these puberty blockers, they are not reversible, like some people like to say. They do have permanent, lifelong effects. Some of these kids will never be able to have children because they have chemically sterilized themselves. And so, I don't, my brain just can't quite wrap my head around how we can just be so supportive of this, how we can just endorse it, and how so many people are just doing it and not questioning it. But yeah, you have people like Rachel Dolezal, who, she was a white woman who decided to identify as a black woman, and she was passing as a, maybe a biracial black woman for the majority of her adult life. But when she was discovered that she was indeed a white woman, the internet went up in outrage, and everyone was just outraged, and they were so furious, and they pretty much destroyed her life because she did not identify as a white woman. She identified as a woman of color. And so for me, where my head goes is that, okay, when it comes to this community, they say that gender is on a spectrum, right? Oh, there's no such thing as just having two genders, it's on a spectrum. One, that makes absolutely no sense. Two, race actually is on a gender, actually is on a spectrum, right? Like, so we have black, white, you can be mixed race, you can be mixed with 3-4 different ethnicities in one person. And so I think that when it comes to race, that actually is on a spectrum. And I think that a black man and a white man have much more in common biologically than a black man and a black woman, right? Like a man and a woman, they have a lot less in common than just a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around how being a transracial person is just so far-fetched, so left field, just unacceptable. We can't tolerate it, but yet, we're just so in support of people thinking that they can actually become a different gender. Even outside of kids, just people in general. We are accepting the idea that a person, whether you're an adult or a child, can actually become a different gender. And that just, to me, like, those two things just don't mesh. So I wanted to touch on that and just kind of pose the question, like, why is it okay to be transgender but it's not okay to be transracial? And where does that logic come into play? Like, what type of logic is that, to where one is completely shunned, unaccepted from society, which honestly actually makes a little bit more sense than being transgender. But being transgender is openly accepted. We have to make all these rules. We have to add all these new words to our vocabulary to accommodate and to appease these people. So yeah, so those are my questions. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that, about those, about how those ideologies compare. Am I off? Am I, is one, obviously transgender, let me know. Educate me if I'm being ignorant. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. I'll see you in the next one.